Another example, and it takes into what level 2 work is about. I was a personnel manager in a can making factory, and a new development had been installed in the factory making cans for pet foods. And the production engineer came to me one day to ask me what information could I give him about the difference between different shift patterns. And he was interested in whether working different hours had different effects, because on the trials that were being operated, one shift was significantly different from another. So I was intrigued by his question and went with him down to the can lines to see what was happening. And the new line in question was making three cylinders at a time, because that's the difficult bit on making cans. And it was clear that the production on one shift was 15-20% higher than on the other, and that was consistent. And when we looked at how that was working, on one shift, the Indian and Ugandan Asians, nearly all of, and that's what they were seen to be good for, were allowed to allocate themselves to the can lines, and they lifted sheets of rectangular tin plate and put them in a hopper, and that's what they did all day. And the new line, which was making 3 at a time, was using more than the others. So this was someone doing that, moving about 3 tons of steel each shift. And they had, on this shift, they had arranged it so that the most recent recruit had the 3 high line, the difficult one. And apart from it being exhausting, he was encouraged by his colleagues to put in crinkled and broken blanks in order that it shut the line down, because he got worn out lifting 3 tons of steel. On the other shift, this supervisor had noticed how that happened, and he rotated every half hour all the feeder operators through all of the lines. So some of them were operating on the heavy duty line, and others, and then they had a quieter line to relieve on. And that was the one that was consistent and a higher production all the time. And it simply brought home to me that the can line foreman, his contribution to things was noticing how the work was being done and allocating it around the team in a way that ignored the sort of group dynamics of let the runt have the new runt have the grotty end of the stick. So from that point of view, I have deep respect for level 2 supervisors, who are often representing the organisation to people whose only reason for coming to work on a Friday is that they can't live on 4 days' pay. And that was the sort of attitude that many of them had at that time, because of the way we ran the work. We learned a lot since.